The third video of lesson 3-19 is going to start off with horses and barns again, but this one we're going to be working with much larger numbers, and we're going to start with the 642 horses in the barn. So why don't you take that out, you cut it out, glue it down, and give me a little bit of time to type it, and then when you're ready, restart the video. There were 642 horses in the barn. More horses came in. Now there are 839 horses. How many horses came in? So here again we're going to write what's called the situation equation. And the situation is basically what the problem says. So we're going to start with 642 horses in the barn. 642. More horses came in. Now there are 839 horses. So we know if more horses are coming in, our number is increasing. So we are going to be adding. Okay, and what are we going to add? We're going to add horses. Now there are 839 horses. How many horses came in? Now again, fifth graders, this is our situation equation because this is exactly what the problem says. So when we write this down, that's our situation equation. Now the question is, what does our solution equation look like? And why don't I just switch colors for this, and let's go with a lovely shade of green here. And our solution equation is how are we going to solve it. Let's just draw a line there. So we're going to set it equal to h because the question is we're solving for h. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the total new number of horses, which is 839, and we're going to subtract the number we started at, which was 642. 642. And then if I do the math here, I'm going to get 839 less 642. I should get somewhere right around, I should get h equal to 197. Now, that's how it happens. And notice we had two equations, situation, which is what this says, and then our solution, which is how we solve it. Now, if I were to solve this the algebraic way, boys and girls, what I would do is I get the h by itself. And to get the h by itself, I'd subtract 642 from one side. If I do it on one side of the equation, the same as sign, equal sign, I have to do it from the other, 642. And then what I'm going to get is, if I do this, this is going to cancel each other out. I'll get h is equal to 839 minus 642. Now, boys and girls, does this look familiar at all? Well, hopefully it looks familiar because it's right here. So our solution equation is not that much different than our situation equation. It's just this is the part in which we start solving it. All right, so let's talk about more horses. This time let's talk about 935 horses. So why don't you cut it out and paste it while you give me a chance to type it. There were 935 horses in the barn. Then some of them went out to the pasture. Now there are 428 horses left in the barn. How many are out in the pasture? So we are going to write two equations. The first one is going to be our situation equation, which is exactly just reading the problem. What does it say? There were 935 horses in the barn. So let's start off with 935. Then some of them went out to the pasture. Now there are 428 horses left in the barn. So if someone went out in the pasture, we're going to get rid of them. So we are going to subtract h, and then we're going to get 428. Because that's what's remaining in the barn. Or that's what's remaining in the barn. Okay? So now our equation, our solution equation, is we're going to set that equal to h. h is equal to, and we're going to take these numbers. We had 935 that were started in the barn, and then we have 428 that were left in the barn. And if we do that subtraction, we're going to figure out the number of h horses, which mean the number that went out to the pasture. And when we do that, boys and girls, we're going to get that h is equal to, and we have to solve this, so we're going to take 935 less 428. 5 less 8 I cannot do. Go to our neighbor. 3 becomes 2. 5 becomes 15. 15 less 8 is 7. 2 less 2 is 0. 9 less 4 is 5. So h is equal to 507. The last problem for this one is, again, surprisingly, about horses and about a barn. So why don't you take the last question, the last word problem about horses in the barn. It's the one with 196. So why don't you take that out, cut it, and glue it while you give me a little bit of time to type it out. There were some horses in the barn, then 196 of them went out. Now there are 510 left in the barn. How many horses were in the barn at the beginning? So again, first we're going to start with the situation equation, which is exactly what the problem says. So we're going to start out with some horses in the barn, which we're going to label H, and then 196 of them went out. So we're going to take away 196, and we're going to be left with 510 horses in the barn. So that's our situation equation. Now our solution equation is all we're going to do is essentially we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this 196 and bring it over to this side. So we're going to look at, it's going to be H is equal to, and we're going to take our 510, which are left in the barn, and we're going to add to that the 196 that went out. And when we do that, whoops, I want a semicolon there. Let's just erase that. Oops, I can't do that. Let's just erase that, and we can't erase it, never mind. And let's just add those together, and we're going to get 6, 9, this is going to be 0, carry the 1, 1 plus 5 is 6, 706. I apologize, for some reason my stylus isn't working very well. Now, if we want to do this, solve this algebraically without having to write a solution equation, basically, again, what we want to do is we want to get our variables on one side. This is our variable, and we want to get our numbers on the other side. So how do we undo minus 196? Well, we add 196. Whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do on the other side of the equal sign, so 196. So if I look at it, I'm going to get H is equal to 510 plus 196. If you notice, boys and girls, this equation is exactly the same as this equation. So our solution equation is just what we do to solve our situation equation. That is all for the third video. The fourth video is going to be a practice video, so you might as well just start and get ready and cut out and paste your last 3 problems.